To Whitehaven, please.
Cust's arrest is a great success for you, Poirot. It's all clear now, except maybe one or two details.
Details. Ah, mon ami. The devil is in the detail, as we say.
Excuse me?
Patience, Hastings. Everything will be clear once our guests arrive. Best be prepared. Slip a revolver into your pocket before they do.
A revolver? But Poirot, what are you afraid of?
Trust me. It is important you carry a weapon for this meeting. I will lend you mine.
What about telling me what you have in mind?
Surtout pas. You wouldn't be able to play your role. Wait one moment, I will bring you my weapon. Daily Flicker, September the 11th, 1935. ABC affair, Terminus Doncaster. Japp and Poirot arrest the killer. A.B. Cust is the name of the alphabet murderer. The police have arrested him in a hotel in Doncaster. He was preparing to kill his fourth victim, Mr. Dick Dudley Dunbar, the establishment manager. Mr. Dunbar owes his life to the miraculous intervention of Inspector Japp of Scotland Yard and Detective Hercule Poirot. The Lancet, September 11th, 1935. General Medical Journal. The alphabet murderer is not psychotic, according to Professor Thompson. In an early issue, we claimed that the alphabet murderer was not psychotic. Our assertion has just been confirmed by Professor Thompson, a Scotland Yard expert, who has spoken to the prisoner at great length. Not all obsessional killers are psychotic, he explained. It is true that Cust has a disturbed personality and memory disorders. But his amnesia, whether real or pretended, does not alter the fact that he was perfectly lucid at the time of his acts. Therefore, he will not escape punishment. The white ammunition are blank cartridges. The others are real bullets. I have to choose the type of bullets to load. The revolver is loaded with real bullets. I still have time to choose blanks. The revolver is loaded with blanks. I still have time to choose real bullets. Voila, I entrust you with my weapon. It has hardly been used, it is almost new. Chief Inspector, is that you?
Yes. Sorry, but we haven't found anything.
Have you checked the typewriter?
And the packaging, the letter, and the ribbon reel. We've only found prints left by Cust and his landlady.
Well, never mind, I shall make do.
So, are you still going to hold your meeting?
Of course, Chief Inspector. I can hear my guest coming up the stairs.
Why have you brought us here, Mr. Poirot?
Since Cust's arrest, I thought it was all done and dusted. Miss Gray formally identified him, as well as Miss Barnard.
Yes, and the stockings he saw drove the same brand as the ones found at my aunt's.
This is all true. However, a case is not closed if some questions remain open. And one question is, why did the murderer send me his letters? Why did he challenge me, Hercule Poirot?
Perhaps he wanted to play with you, to taunt you.
Xenophobia? Maybe he didn't like you because you're foreign.
I may be wrong, but maybe by provoking you, he was looking for glory?
All these theories should be studied. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work. Is everything clear now?
You might like to explain your reasoning again.
Of course. First of all, remember that the murderer made it a rule to always post his letter before the murder. He never digressed from that rule. However, in Churston, he encountered a problem. The village has only 500 inhabitants. With advance warning, it would be easy to arrest him. Therefore, the murderer delayed his letters deliberately with the wrong address. The plan wouldn't have worked if he'd sent it to Scotland Yard or the papers because everybody knows their addresses. The mistake would have been corrected and the letter would have been on time. That is why the murderer chose me as the recipient.
Because for his plan to succeed, it was necessary for at least one of the letters to have a wrong address and get lost. It was very cunning.
Absolument. It is a very subtle plan. It matches the profile we have drawn up of him perfectly. That of an intelligent, daring and calculating murderer.
But that's not how you describe Cust.
You are quite right, mademoiselle. Like you, I find it hard to believe that this dull character is the clever murderer we are looking for.
Do madmen... I mean, if he's mad, he might have two very different sides.
No doubt. But the murderer is not mad. All the specialists agree that he does not have the profile of the psychopath.
But if Cust is not guilty, how do you explain his presence at the scene of the crimes?
Mr. Clark, the answer to your question is in the medical records of your brother's patients. Documents which Cust most certainly did not have access to. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work. Dr. Clark's patients' records provided a very useful list of potential victims, sorted by alphabetical order. The killer definitely used it, explaining the fact that all the victims were former patients of the doctor. It is this fact that clears Cust once and for all, because he never had access to these records. So how did he happen to be at the scene of the crimes? Either the murderer sent him there, or Cust was following him closely. Cust's highly suggestible nature leads us to the second hypothesis. The murderer was manipulating him. He systematically sent Cust to the towns where he was going to strike, so that the suspicion would land on the poor man's shoulder.
That's evil! What sort of killer could have such a plan? And what would he gain from three completely different murders?
Indeed, it seems unlikely that the same murderer committed all the crimes. What should we take from that? Just one murder was of benefit to the murderer, the others were just diversions. On reflection, there is only one conclusion. The murderer killed once out of interest, and twice to divert our attention. This reasoning points at two potential culprits.
Franklin Clark.
Donald Fraser?
Yes, mademoiselle, that's good thinking. Mr. Fraser may have killed Betty out of jealousy. Mr. Clark may have killed his brother in order to inherit his large fortune. Both have a motive.
But Donald did not have access to Dr. Clark's records.
Please allow me to disagree with you, mademoiselle. He works for Court and Brunskill, one of whose clients was Sir Carmichael.
It doesn't prove that I went to Comeside.
You could have done it, and you may have used the opportunity to take a look at Sir Carmichael's records.
Do you think I'm guilty?
You or Mr. Franklin Clark?
That's ridiculous.
Both of you have a motive. The question is, which of you has the profile that most resembles the murderer? Let us now try and get our brain cells to work. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald may share many character traits with the murderer, but he does not have his cold indifference. He has a temper. It is hard to imagine him planning anything. Also, jealousy is his motive, and crimes of passion are rarely planned.
Right, I suppose it's my turn to be subjected to the same scrutiny.
Absolument, Mr. Clark. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work. As you have all seen, there is a disturbing similarity between Mr. Clark's profile and that of the killer. In actual fact, it is exactly the same.
Mr. Poirot, your psychological studies are interesting, but your conclusions do not add up. Why would I have wished my brother's death? The inheritance is lawfully mine. I just have to wait.
No, you had to act quickly. Because of Miss Grey. Mademoiselle, although you haven't been telling the truth, there is no doubt in my mind that you would have found a way to marry Sir Carmichael after Lady Clark's death. For you, Mr. Clark, it was a disaster. If Miss Grey had children by your brother, you would not have inherited a thing. You realized the danger after reading several letters from Comeside, especially one in which your brother opened his heart to you. So you hurried home from China, and you took action. In truth, Cust was no more than a puppet manipulated by the real culprit. You, Mr. Clark.
Such an imagination, Mr. Poirot. In fact, nobody manipulated Cust. The famous instructions he received by post. He wrote them on the typewriter. We know that for sure.
Oh no. You know perfectly well that is not true. Eh bien voilà, light has now been shed on the ABC murders.
Your theories are ingenious, but you haven't any proof.
1 point to him. For the moment, I have no material proof. Either I admit to it, or I bluff. One thing proves it. The prints you left on Cuss' typewriter.
Enough.
Oh, of course you wiped the typewriter before sending it. But not carefully enough. Scotland Yard has found your print along with those of Cuss.
Game, set, match. You win, Mr. Poirot. But it was worth trying. Don't come near me! I'll never let you take me, Mr. Poirot!
I'm sorry, Mr. Clark, there is no easy death for you. I expected your reaction, so I used blanks. I'm sorry, mademoiselle, but your second chance has been lost. Franklin Clark will never inherit his brother's fortune.
Disappointed at having missed the chance to become Lady Clark, Thora Grey left England. Donald Fraser and Megan Barnard married. On Poirot's recommendation, Mary Drower started to work for Lady Clark. The elderly lady's condition suddenly took a turn for the better. And a few months later, to Dr. Logan's great surprise, she was back on her feet again. According to this eminent physician, it appears to be an extremely rare case of spontaneous remission. Lady Clark has enjoyed very good health ever since. Journal of an Innocent, the incredible story of ABC. As for A.B. Cust, after being advised by Poirot, he made a great deal of money by selling his story to the press. And as for me, and with business booming, the Black Swan has become the #1 tourist attraction in the whole of Yorkshire, even more popular than York Minster.